Hello everyone. Back to story friends. Today I will tell you a film called Tomb of the River, which will be released in 2021. Tells the story of a mafia leader who is most respected, looks very relaxed and has not fought in a long time. But he changed, when relatives and people he cares about, cruelly killed by a psychopathic gangster who is cunning, and intends to seize his territory, without lingering longer. Prepare snacks, and sit in the most comfortable place. Set in a city called Gangang, a city controlled by the mafia, led by a man we can call Uncle John. Then we are introduced to the main character of this story. He is named Gilsik. He is Uncle John's confidant, given the area industrial in Gangnam City for him to protect and rule over. Gilsik came to visit his first brother, whose name was Bang Dul. Bang Young was a person who liked gambling. It turned out that on the same day there was a problem, because one of their gang members was caught using drugs. Fortunately Gilsik knew the police leadership, which allowed them to solve it as a family. After checking, it turned out that what was caught was not Gilsik's subordinate, but his brother's subordinate named Anto. Anto is one of the 3 people Uncle John entrusts to manage the city of Gangnam. He manages the gambling area and several nightclubs. At the Gilsik Bang Dul food stall, and Anto is talking about Anto's behavior, which allows his gang subordinates to use and sell drugs. Anto was repeatedly reminded by the Gilsik, if the 3 of them had agreed that the area they controlled should be kept away from drugs such as drugs, suddenly heard from outside.
Uncle John came to talk about the drug problem earlier. He scolded the 3 of them. He said that Bang Dul must always take care of his 2 younger siblings, while Gilsik must stop always blaming Anto, because he should help by providing solutions, because Anto is the one who temperamental, very somewhere. We are shown a person we can call Samidi. He is a person who works as a lone shark head, as well as a responsible person, to clean up the dirty actions of his boss. Samidi is making plans, so he can coup his boss, because he is tired of being a servant, who only takes orders from superiors. A few moments later, Samidi came to headquarters, to meet his boss. There Samidi negotiated with his boss, so that he would get more wages, and a higher position, when he could complete his missions. His boss didn't care about Samidi's threat, and suddenly, not long after, the police came to examine the crime scene of Samidi's murder. When they arrived, they only saw a young man who was used as the victim for the murder suspect. This young man was used by Samidi, because he had a lot of debt to Samidi, so Samidi could easily make him the person responsible for what Samidi had done. On the other hand, Gilsik personally, summoned by Uncle John, to discuss about the territory he manages.
Uncle John said that Gilsik was the right person to manage the resort he was going to build, but Uncle Pengkor's decision was questioned by Gilsik, because he thought the resort was not in his territory, but in his brother Anto's territory. Uncle John said that Gilsik believes in discipline more than Anto. Hearing Uncle John's words, Gilsik also has no other choice, but to accept the mandate of power given to him. A few days later, Gilsik has begun to manage the resort entrusted to him, but suddenly, Gilsik already knew that Samidi who came to his place was a troublemaker psychopath, but firmly and calmly, he went down to meet Samedi. In Uncle John's territory, Gilsik flatly refused a request from Samedi, because he did not agree with the sale of drugs, which took place in his area.
뭐 최대 주주가 그렇다고 하면 얘기 끝났으면 가.
Gilsik, who saw Samedi's behavior, was silent. Today Gilsik and Dull are attending the wedding of one of their subordinates, but suddenly,
야, 니 지금 뭐하나?
뭐 이 새끼? 에?
그래서 곤란하다고 했지. 이 새끼가.
Anto said that he did not accept Uncle John's decision, which gave resort power to Gilsik. Gilsik tried to calm Anto, due to the fact that Gilsik also didn't want to have the resort alone. Fortunately, in the middle they stopped.
지금 남의 결혼식장에서 뭐하는 거야? 이런 짓들 말아요. 예?
야, 구조해라.
Anto, who felt he had disturbed the sacred ceremony, decided to go home. Long story short, night came. Anto was seen coming to meet Dull. He tried to instigate Dull to go against Uncle John's decision, who gave the resort power to Gilsik. It turns out that Dull doesn't really care about the resort. He is content to live as a person who controls the market area. He also always agrees with Uncle John's decision, who entrusted the resort to Gilsik. On the other hand, Samedi was in a hotel room, with a woman who owed him money. Samedi said that he had always enjoyed this woman, only to cover the interest on his debts, while the woman's principal debt was considered never to be paid off. Because she did not know what else to do to pay off her debts, the woman could only surrender to Samedi's wishes. Unexpectedly, Samedi took the woman to Uncle John's place. Uncle John then asked what was the purpose of Samedi coming to his house, but Samedi answered that he only stopped by when he wanted to go to the village, smiling while also offering help. Who knew Uncle John was in need of his help. While helping Uncle John to dry the sun, Samedi questioned what is the law on killing fellow human beings, especially now that many people have money, can kill other people by hiring assassins, without having to dirty their own hands. Uncle John just responds casually. He says that we don't actually need to kill to achieve our goals, we only need to gain trust from people. But suddenly, and it turns out, after Uncle John died, Samedi again did the same thing, namely to make the woman he brought as a sacrifice, to become a suspect, so that his debts were paid off. The scene moved to the hospital. Gilsik was in a hurry to see Uncle Peng's condition, but the doctor said that Uncle John was dead. Knowing that Uncle John was killed on purpose, Gilsik came to the police station, to see who dared to kill his uncle. The woman did not answer Gilsik's question at all. Gilsik, who saw the woman's behavior, was angry and did not accept it. His uncle was killed by the woman. At Uncle John's funeral, all gang members were present to offer their condolences, while Anto, Gilsik and Dull argued about the revenge they would take. They actually had received information that the woman who was arrested was a person who owed a lot of debt to Samedi, so it can be concluded that Samedilla was the mastermind behind Uncle John's murder. To get revenge on Samedi, Anto and Dull decide to cooperate with the police chief. To frame Samedi, they plan to accuse Samedi of buying and selling illegal drugs. They spied on Samedi's men, who were on duty, followed him secretly and were about to arrest them for doing drug dealings. At the same time, Samity was seen sitting quietly in his office, as if he already knew about the plan to arrest him. A chase scene occurred between the police and Samity's men. After being caught, it turned out that the transaction bag they carried contained only tea and coffee. Samity clearly knew what people were going to do to him, therefore he was very wary and careful of the police. Meanwhile at the headquarters, Anto and Dul, who heard the news that the police had failed to catch Samity, decided to attack and kill Samity directly. Anto invites Dul to come along so he can avenge Uncle John's death, but
it turns out that Dul, who has been silent all this time, decides to betray. All of his gang members attack Anto's followers.
형님, 뭔 소리 하고 있나? 대답을 하라고!
Anto apologized, if during his life he was always rude to Gilsock, because he finally realized that as long as he was alive he had never helped Gilsock. Dul, who had seen Anto earlier, then killed his younger brother. Meanwhile, Gilsock, who had not finished hearing Anto's last messages, suddenly. Those who wanted to kill him were Dul's men. Fortunately Gilsock was with his bodyguards. Even though they were hit by knives many times, they were still able to finish off everyone who came to hunt them down. And when Gilsock wanted to duel with Dul's men, a police siren sounded indicating they had to leave immediately. 3 months later, in front of the police station, Samity was with his men. They had just visited several suspects, who had been the victim of his cunning plans. He accidentally met the police leader, who congratulated him, because of the success of his plan to kill mafia members ganging. The police leader asked, how did he influence Dul, so he could betray his own brother? Samity answered casually. He said that he was only giving Dul questions about the decision of the resort to be managed by Gilsock.
어때? 김 사장님 소식 들으면
It turns out that Gilsock disappeared out of town, and only returned after finishing healing his wounds. The Gilsock that is now is no longer the Gilsock that it used to be. He became a killing machine ready to kill anyone. The first destination he visited was the grave of Anto and Uncle John to visit. In police headquarters, Gilsock came to talk to the police leader. He said he wanted to kill Samity immediately, but then the police leader questioned his goal again, because Samity was proven clean from any accusations in any case. Gilsock didn't care what the police said. His determination was firm. He said that he also could no longer trust the police. This was because Samity was still roaming freely.
내가 잘 처리할게. 그러지 말라고.
말은 못 믿겠다.
Sometime later, Gilsock met with one of the largest resort shareholders in Gangneung City. He was named Chairman Shin. Gilsock asked Chairman Shin for help, to help him kill Samity, because Gilsock knew that Chairman Shin also had a grudge against Samity. It was known that the boss had betrayed and was killed by Samity at the beginning. Was the boss of Chairman Shin too? But Chairman Shin did not dare to take the risk, because now Samity was one of those who held large shares in Gangneung City business. Gilsock also offered the shares he had to Chairman Shin. Chairman Shin heard the offer, could not refuse to become the largest shareholder business in the city. Somewhere Dul turns out to be smoking. While waiting for Gilsock to arrive, Gilsock unceremoniously asks the reason why Dul betrayed their brotherhood. Dul says he did it because he was greedy. He felt he was never paid enough for what he did. He was only given a small area to control, while Gilsock was given a magnificent resort. Gilsock reiterated that he never felt he owned the resort. He then asked Dul to apologize. But Dull did not feel what he was doing was wrong and finally.
At the same time, Samity was visited by the police chief to be arrested, on charges of trafficking drugs, and manipulating other people to kill each other. Samity rejected this statement, because they did not have definite evidence, but he was still put in the police car.
아직 진행.
김길석이도 죽는 거다.
Elsewhere, Chairman Shin is ordering his men to finish off Samity, and after they kill Samity, Chairman Shin asks them to secretly kill Gilsuk too. Apparently he has ambitions to be the only person who controls the resort, but without Chairman Shin knowing, apparently behind him there are people who followed him and
보면은 확실히 믿고 있다는 거 아니겠습니까?
Gilsuk actually already knew that the cunning Shin Yong leader would betray and plan to kill him, and this is what happened. At the same time, the police car carrying Samity was intercepted by Gilsuk and all of his men. The police leader also informed him that what Gilsuk was doing could land him in jail, therefore he protected Gilsuk by securing Samity from Gilsuk. Gilsuk understood the leader's intentions. The police opened the way for him, but suddenly Samity gets out of the car lighting his cigarette. He gets ready to fight against Gilsuk and his men.
Gilsuk was silent, watching Samity, who was trying to fight all of his men, until the end. After defeating Samity, who almost died, said that in fact they were the same, both sadistic killers. Gilsuk stabbed him many times to kill him. The police leader came to Gilsuk and asked if he didn't feel guilty for killing many people. Gilsuk could only reply with the words that his life had died along with his brothers who died first. After the brutal battle ended, Gilsuk came to the resort alone to enjoy the beautiful sunrise and the film was over.